morning, all of you. Today we will continue with the history chapter, the French Revolution, and we will start with the Reign of Terror today. Reign of Terror, page number 16. Okay, so the last thing that we saw last week was uh, that the Jacobins they planned an insurrection, means a rebellion, and they stormed into the king's palace and they held the king as hostage, and later on they imprisoned the whole royal family, and after that elections were held, and then all men 21 years and above, regardless, means whether they had wealth or not, all were allowed to vote. So all men 21 years and above, regardless of wealth, they got the right to vote. And this newly elected assembly, it was called the convention, and this newly elected assembly on 21st September 1792, it abolished monarchy from France and declared France to be a republic. Okay, so this we have done, and we have also seen that Louis XVI, he was sentenced to death on the charges of treason, and later on his queen Marie Antoinette, she also met with the same fate. So now the power, it went into the hands of the Jacobins. Okay, now the period from 1793 to 1794 is referred to as the Reign of Terror, means the rule of terror. Now why this period is known as the Reign of Terror or the rule of terror? Because Robespierre, now you know Maximilian Robespierre, he was the leader of the Jacobins, so he was ruling now, and he followed a policy of severe control, means he controlled everything, and if his laws were not met, then the people, they were severely punished. And so everyone, whoever he saw as his enemy or as the enemy of his government, now that could be a noble or a person belonging to the clergy, that is the church member, it could be a member of any other political party, or even people of his own party, those who did not agree on him on any certain thing. So whoever that was, if anyone disagreed with him, they were arrested, then they were put in prison, and then the trial was on by a revolutionary tribunal. Now what is a tribunal? Tribunal is a body specially established to settle certain disputes. So here this tribunal was established so that they can punish everyone who said anything against Robespierre or against his government. And so they were tried by a revolutionary tribunal, and if the court found the people guilty, then they were guillotined. Now what does guillotine means, or what is a guillotine? Now guillotine is a device, it consists of two poles, one on this side and one on the other side, and in the middle there was a blade, and the head of the person was kept down under the blade, and then the blade was, with force it came down and it beheaded the person, it cut the person's head off from his body, and this was called as a guillotine, and it was named after Dr. Guillotin, who invented it. So guillotine was invented by Dr. Guillotin. That is how it got its name. So that is why this period is known as Reign of Terror, because anyone who disagreed with him, they were all guillotined. Now that could be anyone, even members of his own party, they were also guillotined. Then there were certain other reforms which Robespierre brought about. Now his government, they placed a maximum ceiling on wages and prices. Now what does ceiling means? It means an upper limit, just like the ceiling is a upper limit of a room. The room finishes at the ceiling, it does not go beyond that, so it is the upper limit of a room. So just like that, he placed maximum ceilings on wages and prices. Now what that meant was that neither the wages of the people nor the prices of goods or commodities can go beyond a certain limit. So he placed maximum ceilings, means maximum upper limits on that. Then meat and bread, they were also sold in ration stores, means it was ration, you cannot buy as much as you want. All right, so it was given to people according to the number of people, number of members in their family, and it was rationed, you cannot buy as much as you want. Peasants, means the farmers, they were forced that they have to bring their grains, transport to their grains to the cities, and then they had to sell it to the government at the prices fixed by the government. All right, so they were forced, and now the peasants, they could not sell it to the highest bidder, but they had to sell it to the government, and that also at the prices which were set by the government. Then the use of expensive white flour, it was forbidden, and all citizens, irrespective whether he was a noble, belonged to a clergy, or a poor person, all had to eat the pain digalite, means the equality bread. Now it was, what was equality bread? It was a loaf which was made of whole wheat. So no expensive flour was allowed. Then he wanted to establish equality, because for long you have seen, we have studied that the France was under the old regime. It was divided into three estates, the first, second, and the third estate, and the people of the first and the second estate, they had all privileges based on birth. They were exempted from paying taxes also. And the people of the third estate, they were exploited, and they bear all the brunt of the taxes also. So now he just wanted to establish equality, but he went out so harshly in pursuing his policies that even in the matters of food, like bread also, everyone was made to eat the same bread which was made up of whole wheat. Then equality was also sought, means through even through the means of forms of speech and address, means the way which you addressed a person. Earlier people use monsieur for sir and madame for madam. Now all French men and women, they were called citoyen or citoyenne. So no monsieur or madame, so no longer anyone was held like okay, so people who belong to the upper strata, they were called monsieur and madame, but no, now everyone was called citoyen or citoyenne. Then churches were shut down, and the church buildings, they were converted into barracks or offices, means places for the soldiers to live in, or for offices for the Robespierre government. Now he wanted to establish equality, but he pursued his policies so relentlessly, means so harshly, without any moderation and without any flexibility, that even the people who once supported, they also started to ask for moderation. That means so harshly pursuing policies, the people even who supported him once, now they also did not like it. And finally Robespierre, he himself was convicted by a court in July 1794. He was arrested, and on the next day he was also sent to the guillotine to be killed. So with the same device that he killed so many, he himself was killed with the same device. Okay, now so Jacobin government falls, and now the wealthier middle classes, they got the chance to seize or to take control over power. And again new set of people came in power, so new constitution, new set of rules was introduced, and this new constitution again did not allow the vote to non-property section of the society. So what that means is people who did not own property, they did not have the right to vote now under this new government. And what was this constitution about? How the way they ruled? Now according to the constitution, they had to have two elected legislative councils. So the people, they voted for two legislative councils, and these two legislative councils, then they appointed a directory. Now this directory was an executive, means the ruling body, and it consisted of 5 members. Now why this was done? Now this was basically done as a safeguard. so that all power was not concentrated in one hand as was under the Jacobins, and people have already seen that what it led to. So they did not wanted that to happen again, and so people elected two legislative councils, and the legislative councils then set up a directory which consisted of five people executive, 5 member executive. That still did not, they it did not solve the problems, because the directors, they often clashed with the legislative councils, and when they clashed with the legislative councils, so the legislative councils, they tried to dismiss them, and now this led to political instability in France, and this political instability of the directory, it made the way for the rise of a military dictator, Napoleon Bonaparte. We will see that later on. Now, though we saw that there were so many changes, first France was an absolute monarchy, then it became a constitutional monarchy. After that, from constitutional monarchy, it became a republic, and but so though there were so many changes in the form of government, but still the ideals of freedom, equality before law, means that all people should be treated equally before law, and brotherhood among the people, now they still, so though the types of government they change, but these ideals, they remained the inspiring ideals that motivated all the political movements that happened in France and also in the rest of Europe throughout the following century. So throughout the following century, though there were so many movements, all were led by these ideals, by freedom, equality before law, and by fraternity. Okay. Now, so we talked about so much this far in the chapter, and we have seen that many times, the laws were changed, people got some rights, but women, no right was given to them. And though even France became a republic, but still not much was done for women. Now, from the very beginning, so we under this topic we will see that did women, they really had a revolution or not. Now, from the very beginning, women, now they also very actively participated in these events. Now, which events which happened in the French society, that we have seen that from absolute monarchy it changed to monarchy, all right, and then from there to a republic. So we have seen all that, and now throughout all these changes, throughout the revolution, women also had been very active participants, and they hoped that because of their participation in the movement, now that will pressurize the revolutionary governments to even bring out certain reforms for them, certain reforms to improve their lives. Now let's see why they wanted a reformation in their lives, what was wrong. Now, most women of the third estate, now they had to work for a living, and so they did different types of jobs. Some worked as seamstresses, means they sew clothes, some were laundresses, some sold flowers, fruits and vegetables at the market, or some were employed as domestic servants in the houses of prosperous people. And so most women of the third estate, they had to work for a living, they did different things, and most women, they did not have any access to education or to job training, and only daughters of nobles or wealthier people among the third estate, now only those girls were allowed to study at a convent, and then later on, once they finished their education, so their families, they arranged a marriage for the girls, means the girls did not have any say in their marriage. Now, in addition to working, the women of the third estate, most of the women, they had to work, and in addition to that, they also had to take care of their families, and that included, see what all, means that is, they had to cook, they had to look after the families, but in addition to that, they also had to fetch water, means they had to go and fetch water, then they have to stand in queues, in lines for bread, and then look for the children. So in spite of doing so much, still their wages were lower than that of men. So for the same work, men were paid more as compared to the women. So women were paid less, their lives were not easy, and they really worked very hard. Now, in order to discuss about their problems and their interests, women, they also started setting up their own political clubs and newspapers. And so about 60 women's clubs, they came up in different French cities. And the most famous of these political clubs was the Society of Revolutionary and Republican Women. So the name of the most famous club was the Society of Revolutionary and Republican Women. Now, they demanded so many things. They wanted improvement in their lives, but one of the main demands of the women were that they wanted to have the same political rights as men had. Now, what that meant was, we have already seen that the Constitution of 1791, it reduced women to the state of passive citizens. They were not allowed to vote, all right. And so if not allowed to vote, how can they even get voted for or to hold political office? So they were only passive citizens. And so now, they were disappointed with the constitution because it did not give them anything. And so their main demands were, they demanded the right to vote. Then, to be elected to the assembly means that not only demanded the right to vote, but also the right to be voted for. So they also wanted to be elected to the assembly and to be able to hold political offices, political positions. Why? Because they thought that once they are in power, they are at a position, then only they'll be able to make rules and laws for the improvement of women. Then only they'll be able to do it. Now, in the early years, the revolutionary governments, they did come forth to introduce some laws for the improvement of lives of women. And so let's see what were those reforms which were brought about by the revolutionary government. So there was creation of state schools. So state schools were established and schooling was now made compulsory for all girls. So under the revolutionary governments, few changes were brought about for the improvement of the lives of women. And the first one was that the state schools were created and schooling was made compulsory for all girls. Then now their fathers could no longer force them into marriage against their will. Now earlier, fathers arranged their marriage and women were forced, girls were forced into marriage. But now no longer they could be forced into marriage against their will. And now marriage was made into a contract, and they could enter freely in it, and it was now registered under the civil law. Divorce was now made legal and now could be applied by both men and women. Earlier only men could apply for divorce, but now both men and women, they could apply for divorce. Women could also now train for jobs, they could become artists, or they could even run small businesses. So some changes were brought about in the lives of women, some improvement was there. But women's struggle for equal political rights, it continued because they did not get the right to vote. And now during the reign of terror, the Jacobin government, they brought out laws and they ordered the closing up of all the women's club. They banned their activity and many prominent women were arrested, means the women leaders, they were arrested, and a number of them were also killed. So a number of them were also executed. So women's movement for voting rights and equal wages, it continued through the next 200 years. In many countries of the world, their struggle for equal voting rights and equal wages, it went on for for more 200 years. And this fight for the voting rights, it was carried on through an international suffrage movement. What is suffrage? Suffrage basically means the right to vote. So this was led by an international suffrage movement, and during the late 19th century and early 20th century, so the women, they went on fighting to get their voting rights. And the example, so though they did not get the voting rights for another 200 years, but still the example of the political activities of the French women, as to how they actively participated in the revolutionary wars in the revolutionary years. Now this was kept alive as a inspiration. So though they did not get the right to vote for another 200 years, but this still the work and the political activities of French women during the revolutionary years, it was like an inspiration for all the women. And it was finally in 1946 that women in France, they got the right to vote. Okay, understood till here, all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's continue. Let's have a look at the
Ma'am.
source E on page 19. Very important, you need to know this. Okay, now Olympe de Gauss now was one of the most important. You need to know this. Who was she? Now she was one of the most important politically active woman in revolutionary France. And when in 1791 the new constitution was formed, and there was the declaration of the rights of man and citizen, it came forward. So she protested against the constitution and against the declaration of rights of man and citizen. Why? Because it did not give women any basic rights that each human should get. So now the rights that were given to men, they were not only to be given to men. She thought that these rights also belong to women equally. And so in 1791, she also wrote a declaration of the rights of woman and citizen, and then she sent it to the queen and also to the members of the National Assembly, and demanded that the members of the National Assembly and the queen, they should act on this declaration of the rights of woman and citizen also. Then but during that time nothing happened. Then in 1793, Olympe de Gaulle, you also criticized the Jacobin government. We have seen that the Jacobin government, it ordered for the closure of the women's club, and also for the they said that their political activities were also banned. So she protested against that, and on that, she was arrested and she was tried by the National Convention. And it charged with her with treason. What is treason, by the way?
Betrayal of one government.
Alright, so betrayal of one's own country. So she was charged with treason, and soon after she was killed on the charges of treason. So you need to know who wrote the Declaration of the Rights of Woman and Citizen. That you need to know. Okay, let's move on. Now, one of the most revolutionary social reform that was brought by the Jacobin regime, now that was the abolition of slavery in the French colonies. So this was the most revolutionary reform that was brought about by the Jacobin regime. Now the colonies, they were colonies in the Caribbean. You know where the Caribbean islands are? Yes, come on, class 9th. Do you know where are the Caribbean islands?
No, ma'am.
No one in the class
No,
knows?
ma'am.
No? Alright, if you go towards the American continents, so these islands, just as the name suggests, islands, so they are in the Caribbean Sea, and they are, you could say, in the east of Mexico, in the east of Mexico or Central America. And from South America, if you see, so they are in the north of South America, and in the east of Mexico and Central America. So they are placed there. And so the uh, the French colonies, they had the colonies in the Caribbean. The name of their colonies were Martinique, Guadeloupe, and Saint Domingo. So they had the colonies there, and these colonies were very important suppliers of tobacco, indigo, sugar, and coffee. So they had the French, they had their colonies in the Caribbean islands. These are the name of their colonies. And so they supplied some very important commodities. But the Europeans, they did not wanted to leave their countries and go so far away, cross the ocean, and then go and work there in the Caribbean islands. So because the Europeans were not willing to go there, so there was a shortage of labor on the plantations. Now what to do about this shortage? So this shortage of labor, it was met by a triangular slave trade. Triangular because three continents were involved in this: the Europe, Africa, and the Americas. So three continents were involved. That is why it is known as a triangular slave trade. Now how this happened? Now this slave trade, it began in the 17th century. And so what happened? French merchants, they set sail from the ports of Bordeaux and Nantes, and then from Europe they went to Africa, and from Africa they bought slaves from the local chiefs. And then these slaves, they were branded with very hot metal. They were marks were made on their bodies so as to distinguish themselves that they were slaves, so that people knew that they were slaves. And so they were branded, and then they were shackled, means they were put into chains, and these slaves were then packed very tightly into ships, and then they set sail for 3 month long voyage across the Atlantic to the Caribbean. And so from Europe, the merchants, they went to Africa. From there they bought the slaves, branded and shackled them, and sent them for the Caribbean. And there, once there, they were sold to the plantation owners at the Caribbean colonies. Now because of this slave trade, the Europeans were able to meet the growing demand for sugar, coffee, and indigo. They wanted these from these Caribbean islands. Europeans were not willing to go there, so this they did through the triangular slave trade. They bought slaves, sent them there so that they can have the commodities from the Caribbean. And the port cities like Bordeaux and Nantes, they own their prosperity to this slave trade. Okay, so for today we will stop here, and when we meet again we will continue. Have you all understood till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.